All right, welcome back to the All About RFID series. Today we're going to be talking about software, the missing link. So we have talked about tags, we have talked about readers and the antenna cables and everything, but we haven't talked about how to connect all those things to something meaningful, like maybe your inventory system, your warehouse management system, to as simple as a spreadsheet. You need some software, whether it's on the mobile side or the fixed reader side, to actually connect all those dots. So to help break this down, we're going to bring in Kevin Keith. He is the VP of Sales and Strategy, and he actually knows how to explain this stuff to normal human beings. So thank you for coming, Kevin.
Yeah, I don't know about any of that, but what I'll say, Kyle, is thank you for the absolute zero prep session on RFID.
Yeah,
so very happy to join the podcast today.
That's great. These are the podcasts. These are blind questions, by the way. I didn't tell them what we're going to ask. So yeah, we'll just get started. We do some projects together, right? Mm-hmm. So every time we get through that phase, we talk about all the physics and all the, getting all the antennas set up. And then we just say, all right, so what does your integration look like? I've never really thought about this from the customer side, but what do we actually mean?
Well, I think it's interesting, right? So for the last 20 years, you've been around RFID, you know all the struggles with getting the physical tag reads, getting that the right way, having the right kind of tags, right kind of product, making sure there's no blockers like water and metal, all that stuff. And I think so much focus of the industry has been on that. There's not been a lot of thought process in the background on, okay, I'm getting the read, now what do I do with it? And what's important, what's the business event that happens when a certain tag is read on a certain item in a certain place, right? The challenge that you have is you've got a ton of back office systems like warehouse management solutions, yard management solutions, ERPs, financial management solutions for asset tracking, IT service management. I could just go on and on and on and on, right? Electronic medical records, all the different type of back office systems that drive these different industries and so forth. But they're not geared to take reads just completely off a reader or even off a mobile reader, right?
Yeah.
When you look at a tag that's maybe sitting on an item that's on a pallet underneath a reader and it's getting read 50 times a second, or even with some fantastic software, maybe not so much. But what's the business benefit of that? And is there a benefit in that particular location? Maybe, maybe not. But a tag that's being read for a bunch of product that's on a pallet coming in through a dock door, there's a big business benefit there. But I don't want to send 50 reads a second for that tag. I want to send it the first time that tag hits that location at the dock door. No, by the way, I want to batch it together with all of the other tags that are on that pallet and send it to my WMS, send it to my ERP to let them know I've now received that. That's really where the software comes into play. And I think that's the missing element that's been missing in the industry for a long time. I know this isn't a commercial series about RedBeam, even though we have it splashed.
I think it's
it might be. This might be a commercial series.
We may even match.
Well, it's possible, yeah. But I would say that's been the missing link up till now is how do I take those reads and do something intelligently with them?
Yeah. And luckily as that answers. So luckily as a software company, when I actually asked it, I know our answer is usually we get to use our software. So our integration is simply using our software and pushing data to them. But a lot of companies go into this, or we pick them up somewhere along their sales process and they go, we've got the perfect hardware and everything. We have no idea how to get this data into our other system over here. And we don't have in-house developers that can do this, right?
That's right.
That's the integration.
We hit partner after partner after partner that are great solution providers. They're great partners of Zebra Technologies or even other RFID manufacturers. And again, they've spent that focus mastering the physics side of it, mastering how to set up the readers, get the reads and so forth, only to have a project come to a complete screeching halt because they can't do anything with it, right?
And then we get a call.
And that's when we get a call and what we find is this is our, tagline is RFID made easy. This is where we can unstick a project like that and really move it forward by giving that glue that ties the reader back together with the business process that's being facilitated by those back office systems.
So we keep saying, how do we get that data from the reader to the end system and stuff? So in our software, giving you a chance to get technical, how does that actually happen? So I've just hinted at it in the series. I've never talked about any of those acronyms along the way.
Well, from a software perspective, right, it's all about APIs. And when you talk about really what RFID is doing is turning a physical signal, a physical piece of inventory into a digital signal. And now being able to take that digital signal at a location, which means something of business importance has happened. Maybe it's a yard, a trailer rather, coming into a yard. And, I'm reading from a yard dog, the trailer tags. So I know the trailer is there in the yard. Great. But I'm also reading as the yard dog goes and drops that trailer into a specific place in the yard, what
Sure.
the GPS position is.
Yep.
Okay. So that event is something that a yard management system really wants to know about. So what a RedBeam would do is take all of those reads,
Mhm.
and when that last GPS position is read after a certain period of time for that tag, the ability now to send that via a REST API or an integration point, back to the yard management system becomes really valuable. Now, as that yard dog continues to drive through the yard, every other trailer it drives by, it's getting a read off those tags. And so what it's doing is it's constantly updating the GPS location of all of those trailers. That event becomes important because we continue to update the YMS with where those trailers are, I'm not going to say in real time when the
Near
tags
real
are
time,
read,
yeah.
but as those tags are read. And so with a great deal of confidence, a yard management system can go tell, a yard jockey, hey, go pick up a trailer. It's at GPS coordinate XYZ, even if you're in a dirt yard, even if you have no location barcodes or set locations,
Yep.
which a lot of that supply chain world is, lives like that.
Yeah. So Kevin said an important word or acronym in there, API, and that is Application Programmable Interface. If you ever deal with any software that I call it like a black box, they're locked down and proprietary and don't allow any input in or any output out to other systems, run for the hills because that system will stand on its own and never integrate with anything else you own. Both directions for RedBeam, we allow input in, output out via our API and also via other things, MQTT pushes and stuff like that. So that is very important, not just when we say integration, we literally mean integrating into the process. Sometimes is the software of choice, sometimes is just a middleware that handles the RFID stuff. So quick question, cloud-based or on-premise?
Oh, always.
You've been around this.
So, cloud-based, I think this is a no-brainer, right? The on-premise piece, and I think used to be a much bigger blocker when networks and firewalls and so forth were not so easy to deal with and as secure as they are today. Today, we don't have to put an appliance behind a firewall to manage, either a fixed reader or a mobile RFID device.
Hold on. RedBeam slide. Here's our layout, right?
That's
so you
right.
see that fixed reader behind the customer firewall and nothing else. And everything is just going out to Google Cloud, right? That's where
right.
we happen to host, and that's all our data sitting out there, and it's communicating back and forth in a fully secure manner. We're SOC 2 Type 2 certified. Your data is encrypted and transit at
and
rest.
we're not blowing big holes in the customer's firewall and so forth.
Or
and
forcing them to deploy servers within their premise.
That's right. All of that just slows an RFID project down. And what we want to do is speed them up and speed up the customer getting the real efficiencies and benefits out of the RFID technology. So for me, cloud is the only way to go. We can spin up a tenant and we can get a fixed reader up and reporting inside of 30 minutes, which is not usual for the industry.
That was my last question. Man, come on. That's okay.
Well,
30 minutes. I like it. Yeah, that was the right answer.
So thank you. Yeah. So anyway, I think that answers the question,
Yeah.
and not that there's anything wrong with an on-premise solution, but what the on-premise solution I think starts to do is, again, just all the inherent headache of installs. You're maintaining it yourself. You have to have the support for it.
And it usually comes from a place of wanting the security of owning the data and the software. And we've proved time and time again that if we can do it in some of the places we've done it, that we can't even talk about, then we can do it pretty much anywhere, right? I did have another one though. So you've been around software for a while, not just here, previous companies. Common mistakes when either selecting or trying to create their own software, right? So some customers do try to create their own too for these.
I think some customers just have a strong culture of build. There's nothing wrong with that. I would tell you this is not the right industry to have a strong build mentality, or not the right technology. Look, these things change. These devices that you're seeing on the table here in front of you, Zebra does such a great job of pumping out new hardware with new capabilities and so forth, but they change over time. And trying to get the right combination of rapid adoption, scalability. Scalability in the solution is just so incredibly complex and difficult. We put 10 years and I don't know how many tens of millions of dollars in R&D into our solution so that it can rapidly transact a bunch of reads at one time, and with user-defined workflow, really make the right decision on when to notify external systems and so forth. The APIs alone, I think, are really tough. And trying to go and build that yourself, to me, this is a clear case of buy versus build.
Yep.
Now, some customers are still going to build it, and they're going to build it right to a target environment. I think the challenge that you run into there is that's a really sunk investment. The next time the technology changes, you're doing that again.
Can you do that every 5 years and justify
Can you
it?
do that every 5 years and justify it, right?
Yeah. All right, so I don't have any other questions. I'll give you the 30 seconds RedBeam elevator speech. Go ahead.
The 30-second. Look, we make RFID easy. That's our tagline. That's what we do. What we're here is to help you rapidly get to whatever business outcome you're trying to do from a business transformation, taking RFID in and the efficiencies that it can create, but also the new practices that it can create. When you start thinking about the fact that you can stop tracing at a container level and really start tracking, at a serialized each, that gives you so much more data about what's happening in your operations. And the one thing we're seeing as an industry trend is more data is exactly what AI feeds on.
Yep.
So now that next level of evolution is not just on the physical side of the operations, but everything to do with planning, everything to do with predictability in your operations. We can provide that data to an AI or machine learning algorithm that can really take and evolve your operations even further. So not only are you doing more with less physically, but we can give your operations more of that visibility where you can be predictive in what's happening. So turning from that reactive to predictive model.
Very good. Well done, sir. Thanks again to Kevin for appearing this time. So again, bad software results in really horrible deployments. Good software, you can become a hero. Use RedBeam. Shameless self-promotion. Thanks, Kevin. For
we are doing the video series.
Yeah,
so I feel like we get
get
to promote it just a little bit. Yeah.
So next up, we'll be talking about the future of RFID, one of our final videos, and what's new with that. So like, subscribe, connect with me on LinkedIn, ask any question you'd like, and we'll talk to you next time. Thank you.